Scott Elnes, this is, not everybody's going to know this, but this is take two of our conversation. A little bit of a different look today.
Yeah.
How are you doing over there in the Storm Alert Weather Center?
Well, I am a complete, well, some people say weather nerd. I'm more of a weather dork, but being in this kind of a situation is my happy place.
Yeah.
So let's just say I'm grinning ear to ear constantly.
Okay, so I'm really excited to introduce you to all of our viewers here in Northern California. Scott Elnes is our new morning meteorologist. Now, Allie-Ann McCord, we've gotten to know her over the last couple of months, and she's sticking with our team. She's going to be doing our weekend weather newscast, but you will be with us Monday through Friday. And what's really cool about you is that you're from this area, right? You grew up in Oregon.
Yeah, well, I was actually born and raised originally in Seattle area, but then was in Oregon for a good chunk. Also spent several years in Alaska, some time in Southern California. So the whole West Coast has kind of been my home.
Okay, so you have kind of a fun backstory, right? In the 90s and 2000s, you were a traveling musician, and so you know Chico pretty well too.
I know Chico fairly well. In fact, yeah, it was in the late 90s, I guess it would have been, that I came through as a touring musician. I mean, it wasn't the glamorous bus. We were in a van, and we would come through Chico regularly, play gigs, try to weed our way through the fog in the early mornings trying to get out of town and such. But I mean, I wouldn't call it a second home, but I would say that Northern California in my heart is like one of what I consider to be a place that feels like home for sure.
Yeah, we have kind of unique weather here. Everybody thinks that California weather is boring, you might say, right? And while I agree it's not quite as extreme as what we see on the East Coast, there are some very unique weather patterns.
Well, that's the thing is, well, especially I think, you know, a lot of California gets a reputation because of Southern California, and especially more the Los Angeles area where there's not as much topography to deal with. But, you know, around Chico, you have a valley, you have foothills, you have mountains, you have vegetation that leads to lots of different weather programs. You've got the gap winds. I mean, it's realistically, you know, Chico is kind of one of those places that, as you well know, and it's kind of a popular thing is, you know, if you don't like the weather, wait 10 minutes. It can be at times very, very difficult to predict, but it's, you know, from a meteorological standpoint, from somebody who's, you know, a weather nerd like me, it's a lot of fun.
Okay, so we're going to talk about the fact that it's no secret that in the fall, when our longtime morning meteorologist Court Klopping moved on, our parent company, Allen Media, which also owns the Weather Channel, they basically agreed to this partnership where you are here with us, but you are working out of Atlanta. And some viewers, they have some concerns that maybe, well, how are you really able to know our forecast when you're all the way over there? So can you break that down, how you can give an accurate forecast?
Absolutely. In fact, you know, I'm somewhat new to the machinery around here, but I can tell you that for the most part, other than, you know, being there out like I am in most environments, the technology that's available here, the forecasts that are available here. I mean, I do a lot of my own forecasting as well, but we also have some of the best meteorologists you're going to see anywhere here. The technology has gotten to be such, even in the last 10 years, where the ability to process the forecast is substantially increased. But I'd like to think, and I believe this is true, that my ability to forecast and to understand the forecast, especially in your area, is because that's my area. I mean, it's an area that I'm familiar with. It's climate that I'm familiar with. So a lot of that comes with, you know, if you've been in the area, you know the patterns. I mean, you could pretty much throw a low pressure system towards Anchorage, Alaska, and I can tell you what's going to happen. So with Chico, a lot of these patterns are similar ones that I've dealt with before. So it's not only the technology, it's what's been processed up here.
So I got to ask you, so there was a short time there where I thought about going to school for meteorology when I was working in West Virginia, and I was learning about it. And I was kind of looking at some of the texts, and they were talking about forecasting using these models, like these little shapes, like circles and arrows and whatnot. Do you actually do that sort of thing, or is it all just kind of the computers update themselves now?
It's both. I always say that, the models have gotten substantially better, even, like I said, even in the last 10 years. But the problem is that Mother Nature's not a model. It's not a piece of data. It's not a math equation. There's a lot that comes with forecasting that a human really needs to do. And I think one of the things that sort of has actually benefited me, believe it or not, is the fact that I came from a more of a creative, artistic background. Einstein famously loved to play the violin, and that's kind of what made him, think outside the box. There's a lot of forecasters that come up through the traditional, school way and look at just crunching numbers, whereas I came up, did the school, but I also have a way of processing pattern recognition, gut forecasting. There's a lot more to forecasting than just the forecast models. It's distinguishing which one may be more correct and which one, fits the forecast for that particular climate.
Okay. Something that we see a lot here is wildfire weather, and unfortunately wildfires, and then wildfires that create their own weather patterns. Do you have experience with that sort of thing? And how do you predict and track that?
So I have a lot of experience with that. My last 15 years was in Bend, Oregon, just up the way, and lots of wildfire activity there. In fact, for a while there, it was getting to be so active that, it was like, oh man, the summers were getting ruined by it. So I have a lot of experience with that. Now, does that mean that, it's an easy thing to forecast? As a matter of fact, I think the two hardest things to deal with really are snow and smoke. Smoke is very, very difficult because it's light. It has a tendency to shift with the winds, and if you don't get the winds right, it can send the smoke in a different direction, or it could be very dense in one area. So it's a difficult thing to forecast, but once you've been around it enough, you start to see some of these patterns. And the models are getting better and better by the day, not to mention that a lot of the meteorologists that are on the ground during these wildfires, we're in touch with them, and we get to kind of see what's actually happening on the ground as opposed to like where we're at. So it's a challenge, but the challenge of it is getting a lot easier. And it's for a meteorologist, challenging is fun.
Yeah, okay. So I know for you, you said one thing I know that you're interested in is music. Just so people can get to know you a little bit, like tell me more about you. Like what's a typical weekend for you?
What's a typical weekend?
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I spent the first 35 years of my life attempting to make a living as a musician. It's still very deep in my heart. I still play my guitar almost every day and my bass. But with the weekends now, I'm starting to get to a point where I'm going to be building in my own little recording studio. But realistically, what I am at the core is an outdoorsman. That's why I love meteorology, why it was such almost a spiritual discipline for me, is most of my time I spend outside. I'll spend them in the mountains, I'll spend them in the rivers, anywhere. I just like to be out in the fresh air, oftentimes alone in the woods. Text my mom, tell her where I'm going to be, and say, if you don't hear from me in 3 hours, send out the National Guard.
Yeah, I love that, and I think our viewers will too, because one thing in particular, when we're looking at our morning forecast to figure out what we're going to do with our day, for some people it's just going to the park in the valley. For others, the day means I'm going out on the lake fishing, where things are a little bit different out on the water versus I'm heading out on a hunting trip this weekend, right? Those
Right.
kind of keeping that in mind, like what are people up here interested in actually doing with their time outdoors? So important, right, when you're creating those forecasts for them.
It's realistically, it's all that I really think about. I process my forecasts as though I was going to be out in it, whether it's for work or whether for play. Obviously, when you've got a lot of farming and such, there are people that really rely on a somewhat accurate forecast. You got to have 3 days of sunshine to do your hay, things like that. So when I look at it, in fact, a lot of times I think you'll notice over time, you won't hear a lot of technical jargon coming out of me.
Yeah.
I know the technical jargon, but I also know that most people don't. So I like to kind of lean more towards here's what's to wear. And I promise you, I am somebody who has, being in Alaska for as many years as I was, I am pretty reliable about what you might want to wear for, if you have to go outdoors, if you have to be outdoors for an extended period of time. It's kind of one of my hobbies, I guess you could call it.
Yeah, okay. I know, it's interesting. It's like the lifestyle forecasting, right? Because people, they do want to know, we're interested in knowing what's driving our weather. We want a little bit of that too, but really it's practical, right? Like, what is this going to mean for my day, for the day ahead?
Yeah, I had the extreme honor. I trained under the guy that I watched growing up in Seattle. He was, in my opinion, one of the best of all time. And the advice he gave me is he said, you know, it's all fun and games. You can have all this technical jargon, but at the end of the day, people want to know, do I have to wear a sweater?
Yeah.
And that's really what it kind of comes down to.
Well, it's California, so you just got to bring layers, right? At some point in the day, you're going to end up in a t-shirt, I'm sure.
Yeah, layering is anybody on the West Coast should have layers.
Yes,
sure.
definitely. So, of course, like we mentioned, so you are living in Atlanta right now, but do you have friends and family here? We'd love to have you, you know, for a visit at some point and bring you back to Chico and, you know, check out some of the restaurants, the lakes, and take you on a tour. Could we see you on this side of the country anytime soon?
Yeah, in fact, I'm already, on my own, you know, I just came from Bend, so I'm already planning trips there. My family is in Eugene, Oregon. As you and I talked about at another time, Sierra Nevada Pale Ale was a rite of passage for me during my music days, so I want to go back on a tour there. They have some of my favorite beers of all time, too. Plus, I'm a bit of a disc golfer, and I have friends who are like nationally ranked disc golfers, and they talk about some of these parks that are there as well. So next time in Chico, I'm bringing the disc golf bag with me as well.
That sounds good. Yeah, we'll make a whole day of it and go. We'll do the brewery tour there at Sierra Nevada. That place is expanding. I've actually been to the one that they have in Asheville, North Carolina, too, which is pretty cool. But yeah, homegrown company and pretty successful. Well, Scott, we're so looking forward to bringing you on the team. And like you mentioned, if people want to follow you on social media, you do have some social media pages, right?
Yeah, at the moment, I just have a Facebook page. It's facebook.com/weatherdork. But as we roll into here, I'll be getting onto Instagram and some of the other ones as well. I kind of, you know, from a personal level, I don't do a lot of social media because of some of the divisiveness that has been happening. But from a professional standpoint, I love basically talking about, you know, the weather and some of the things that are going on. So I will be expanding the social media as we go.
Well, you got to go with my policy. Social media is for sharing cute pictures of your cats and dogs. Are you a pet person?
Yes.
Yeah.
What's that?
Oh, do you have pets? Are you a pet person?
I wish I had a dog. I was raised with dogs. I mushed dogs in Alaska. I even did some in Bend, did some races out. But at the moment, until I find a house that has a yard where my dog can actually stretch his legs, I'm holding off. I'm staying out of it for now.
Well, one of the things that our viewers love is we do like a daily walk the dog forecast on the morning show. So people send in photos of their dogs and they get to be little celebrities. I got to tell you, sometimes I'll sneak my dogs in there because it's fun. I love I'm sitting at home drinking coffee and all of a sudden I see Ellie up on the TV screen. It's cool. And so you can live vicariously through our pets.
I think more than most forecasters, I love pictures of pets, but because a lot of times those pictures of pets are actually them out in the weather. But I also love weather pictures because it gives me a chance to, you know, kind of explain why this weather's happening and kind of share a little bit about the climate and just kind of maybe give a little factoid before you go out on your day.
Yeah, that sounds great. Okay, Scott, we can't wait to see you on TV every morning. Welcome to the team, and thanks for taking the time to chat with us a little bit today.
Absolutely. I couldn't be more excited. I love Chico, and I'm ready to rock.